Battalion. And first of all, I just want to thank you for that very wonderful reception you gave us this morning. In addition, they took us inside. And I'm sure the Fullers and the Jollers were wondering what the Chief of Defense Staff is doing up there. I can assure you that, the forces, ably represented by the National Security Advisor, Honorable Abubakar Suleiman Jeng, the commanding officer of the State Guard Battalion, Colonel Abdullah Ba, the Director of State Intelligence Services here present, the Presidential Youth Advisor, the dynamic Honorable Saidi, who is always engaging. He is a fan and a solid supporter of the Gambia Armed Forces. Please give him a round of applause. Thank you, Advisor. The principal staff officers, senior officers, and members of my delegation here present, senior officers, other officers, senior NCOs, junior NCOs, and members of the State Guard Battalion here present, the members of the press, our friends, I can see some of them in uniform. I was asking my team, why is it that we didn't see you in the recruitment? Probably this one will break protocol. We'll have to, inscribe them into the armed forces because they don't want to volunteer. So, but we are happy with your service. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and thank you for the reception once again. It is a pleasure to be here. First of all, please allow me to remember some of the fallen officers and men of this State Guards Battalion. It is with a heavy heart that I stand here, remembering fully well that just a few months ago, one of our own very dynamic officer, in the passing of Colonel Abdullah Boob, was the State Guard Battalion commander. Unfortunately, the call of God has come, and then he's not here today. Together with so many other heroes of the State Guard Battalion who died in the line of duty. Sometimes people say it is accidents, driving vehicles and probably perishing on the road. To my mind, I think it is dedication to duty. The task at the State Guard Battalion requires the officers and soldiers to anticipate the future needs for security for the head of state would be. And probably in the enthusiasm and in the drive to make sure that they get to these venues well ahead of the principal, to make sure that assessments are done and the required security posture is taken before his arrival. The drivers tend to go beyond the capacity of the vehicles or beyond the safety limits of the roads. And hence, these rather unfortunate but persistent road accidents, which unfortunately is claiming the lives of some of our compatriots. I don't want to believe that it is recklessness. Knowing what we inculcate in the soldiers, that to achieve your aim, you must be able to protect yourself. Because soldiering is basically to protect yourself first before you protect whatever is put into your safety. If you are not alive, you cannot defend your principle. If you are not alive, you cannot safeguard the territorial integrity and protect the sovereignty of the country. So I want to believe that no soldier or driver for that matter will knowingly and recklessly drive a vehicle to accident, knowing fully well that he will be the first victim. So we want to recognize that sense of duty, but also having noted and having really applaud that commitment to national duty. I also want to appeal that there is nothing in our line of duty which warrants us to act beyond reason to the detriment of ourselves or the passengers that we are carrying. So please allow me to use this forum to once again caution and appeal to those of our members who are drivers that let them drive safely. Let them drive and protect themselves. The life you save could be your own. And therefore, if, for example, you know that probably time is against you, you start early. There's a famous Chinese saying that if the 24 hours is not enough for you, you add the night. Everybody has 24 hours a day. So if you feel that it's not enough for you, you add the night. The time you have to sleep, you add it to your day so that you will be there in time. Having said that, also we will take the necessary command measures to make sure that those who are driving, probably without competence, will be trained so that they protect themselves and also protect the assets that are put at their disposal to make sure that we save our lives and save our properties. Like has already been alluded by your commanding officer, it is a statutory duty of the Chief of Defense Staff to go around the deployments of the Gambia Armed Forces across the length and breadth of the country annually so that we can have a forum to interact. It will also give us an opportunity to assess your working and living conditions. Unfortunately, because of the various commitments and the constraints in the past 2 months, I was not able to complete the leg of the tour and therefore took a longer break than usual. But like they say, it's all the same. It's better late than never. Today we are here to see the State Guards Battalion and your importance in the security architecture of the country cannot be overemphasized. At the heart of our nation, at the heart of our country, at the heart of our defense and security is the presidency. The presidency is the apex of our political and military organization in the country. The presidency is the collective wish of all Gambians. Everybody knows that the Gambia is a democratic state. What does it mean? That means the citizens of the country are the ultimate power in the country. And they exercise their power through elections. And those elections are prescribed, the periods are prescribed in the Constitution, which is the apex law of the country. Periodically, every 5 years, they come out in their numbers and select a candidate who presents himself to lead the country. And once that process is completed, that means all national institutions, all government departments, all agencies, and all ministries will take command from the president. The Ministry of Defense, which is the parent body of the Gambia Armed Forces, is one of those state organs. The Armed Forces is constituted under the Constitution, and we are given a mandate, and the mandate is very clear. Our task is to
recruit, train Gambians who volunteer to join the armed forces, and the task they have to perform is to become a national defense force. What I am alluding to and what I want to state is that the armed forces, by its structure and composition, is an apolitical institution, like all other government ministries. Meaning, we have a constitutional mandate. We are part of the executive. Our roles are very clear. We are not a player in the political game. We are there to execute a mandate. And therefore, every member of the armed forces must put that in your mind. In your service to the army, you are apolitical. You do not belong to any political party. You do not belong to any tribe. You do not belong to any region. You are Gambian. And that is a posture and a consciousness we have to remember. The members of the armed forces are a national public service. And therefore, anybody here must put that in your mind. You are not here to represent your tribe. You are not here to represent your region. You are not here to represent your political feeling. You are here to serve the country in the capacity of a soldier for the time being. The rules and regulations governing service in the armed forces is what is uppermost. Nobody will be treated because they belong to this group or that other group. We are all subject to the same laws of the Gambia Armed Forces Act and other regulations within it. And I want you to remember that. The State Guard Battalion is also a composite unit. The National Security Advisor has just mentioned the assessment that was done in the beginning of this new dispensation. When the new democratic government came into office, there was a lot of criticism of the way and manner the armed forces used to behave. And therefore they said, no, let's go around and assess the feelings of the Gambian people. From that assessment, it came that there must be a reform. And the reform is what? When you reform something, is to change it from where it is to a better state. Therefore, various theories were advanced, but at the end of the day, we as a command said that yes, we will do the necessary education to change the attitude, to change the behavior, and to change the manner and standard operational procedures of the armed forces. But beyond that, nobody will be profiled and sent home because of whatever reason other than your competence and your commitment to national duty. Thank God we've arrived this far. We've changed ourselves. We have been able to come up with policies, with programs, and then with strategies to make sure that the armed forces become a national institution where everybody, from wherever background you are coming in this country, is represented. And that informs what we should carry. A national armed forces is the collective will of the people. And remember that and make sure that we behave accordingly. In order to make sure that everybody is here, we also said the State Guard Battalion must be composed of all the defense and security services in the country. And therefore, as we start here, I am happy to see members of the police, members of the fire service, members of the state intelligence service, even members of the drug law enforcement and the immigration, together with the National Army. And that should be a strength in themselves. Because in the national security architecture, every force has a part to play. The armed forces has a role to play. The police has a role to play. Likewise, other members of the national security services. And that is beautiful. Because each of them has a competence. And if we put our individual competencies together, that means we have a formidable defense. And I want you to remember that we are not here competing as individual services. We are here working together as a collective defense and security service to serve the Gambian people. So please note that and work together. Each of you must bring the best out of you, so that together we will be able to secure the seat of government. So make sure that the president goes to bed safe and sound. He shouldn't go to bed worrying about what is happening around this compound. And that's why your commanding officer have listed some of your constraints. Just before I forget, I want to assure him that when we distribute, the first spoons will go to the State Guard Battalion. The only limitation will be, but whatever we have, we'll give you the best, so that you will have all the tools necessary to do your duty. I want you also to remember that the Gambia is not well resourced, and all the equipment, even the uniforms that you are putting on, are not made in this country. We have to import them from outside. And when we say import, we don't take our dollars and go and say, I want this. So they say how much? They say $10 or $15 you pay, and then they give you. No. The Gambian dollars, most of the time cannot be used outside our borders, unfortunately. So therefore, whatever we want to buy, we must convert it to other currencies. And because of that exchange rate conversion, unfortunately, some of our businessmen have been manipulating the exchange rate to the extent that every day the complaint around is that the Gambian dollars is going down, the US dollar or foreign currency is going up. Of course, there are economic reasons for that. And I'm sure those of you who read economics will know that the basis of determining the exchange rate is also how competitive your economy is. In other words, if you export more, that means you are selling more of your goods outside. You get more foreign currency coming in, and therefore your dollar goes up. But if you have to buy more from outside than you are selling, that means your dollar must go down. At the end of the day, there is what is called a balance of payment. Every country has an account at the IMF and the World Bank. These are the international banks that regulate trade between countries. So depending on how much you buy and how much you sell, they will keep. If you sell 10 million, they will record that you have 10 million. If you buy 5 million, they will record you buy 5 million. So which means you have a saving of how much? 5 million. But if you buy 20 million and you sell 10 million, your currency has to go down. And that is the reason why we said the Gambia Armed Forces, as peacetime soldiers, we must think outside the box. And this is what informs our agricultural project. And I want you all to take note. It's not because we want to do job. It's not because we want to go back to the farm. I know that the people from Koji and some of the pullers will tell me, serious, I ran from the village to come to the city. So if you want to send me back to the farm, that will be difficult. But the reason is this. We want to cultivate rice, because rice is the major thing in our food. Every year, out of the budget that the government gives us, we've calculated that about 30 to 40% is spent to buy rice. Now, the simple logic is this. If now we have plenty of land in the CRR, those lands, nobody's using it. All we need is get the inputs and then start a project so that we'll be able to grow the rice. If we grow the rice and have maybe 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 tons of rice, and then maybe process them and bag them. Now, the amount of money that we are spending
to buy rice, which is imported all the way from Thailand, will now be used to buy our own rice. So that money will now save. And the money now will go to improve and build upon your quarters, improve and build upon your training institutions and all the rest of it. I don't know whether you understand, but this is a shared economics. It's not economics, it's shared economics. And it's based on what we learned from the white man. Since colonialism, they came here to sell us things that are not made here. Initially, the Gambian, our parents used to grow their own food. They came and said, no, don't grow your food. Don't grow your rice. Just grow groundnut so that we can buy it from you and sell outside. You'll now be able to get foreign money and buy rice.
During the 2024
and then we all fell for it.
military installations.
But unfortunately, when we started growing more groundnut, it started putting the price
until
down.
we come on.
Every year, when
Thank you for
if
watching.
we grow